I mean, if you're ready, we can start now. And ikakat ko naman yung
I'm
start.
ready.
You're ready? Okay, sige, go.
Hi, this is Rhea. You're listening to inREAlity, where we talk a lot about career, adulting, and entrepreneurship.
Oh, hello, friend. How are you doing? Kumusta naman ang buhay?
I'm good. Hi, Rhea. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, of course. Also, thank you so much for your time. I know you're super busy with your business now and a lot of things, a lot of commitments on your end. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you about a very important topic today. So before we officially start, ayan.
Yeah. Okay, so a bit of career background. When I was young, as you know,
Yeah.
I used to be in show business. So I would have commercials and also TV shows in Tagalog. So
Yeah.
mostly drama shows, right? And then after college, I started working in a tech industry as a web designer. And then from there, I slowly got interested into marketing. So as after that, I became a head of marketing department for the company I was working for. And then for the past 10 years, I have been working as a marketing manager for different companies. Usually, most of it are tech companies. So I would say that my expertise in marketing are more into the tech industry when it
Mm.
comes to marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that's why I'm super excited to have you because like I mentioned to you before, so work, like I watched you when you were, I think, I don't know how old you were that time, but we're like batang 90s, right? So I watched you with those different appearances on TV, and I even mentioned to you before na I had a notebook where I would write all the appearances you had. So kakaloka. And so
That's so
that's why I'm
funny.
so excited to have you here on my channel. Like, who would have thought, diba, na I would actually meet you, although not personally yet, but from work, or at least, we get to talk now na. So yeah, that's so
Yeah.
funny. Anyways, yeah, so your background is more on marketing, but right now, you are also volunteering, or you're the ambassador of the Hand and Heart Foundation. And that's actually one of the things, important things that we want to talk about as well in today's video. Kasi, di ba, we talk about career a lot in this channel, and we also want to be more inclusive and discuss these things. So I think Prin is the best person to talk to us about that. So my first question is, how did you become the ambassador of Canon Heart Foundation? So tell us more about that story.
Yeah, so my story with Hand and Heart started 2 years ago. I attended one of the seminars about seminars about manifestation.
I like
So
that.
yeah, so there was this group that I attended, and then after the class, the coach mentioned something about, because it was a free class, and then
Mm.
he mentioned that if we want to give something back, then
Mm.
we can donate to Hand and Heart. Which then I got interested because I asked, what is this organization I'm giving my money to?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I want to make sure is this going to be a good organization that I can really support. And
Mm.
then I found out that Hand and Heart is a foundation that supports PWDs. And then one of the main type of PWD that they support are the deaf
Mm.
community. And then I learned more about it because I asked questions. And then they help the deaf community find jobs
Mm.
to different companies. So they are more like the go between. They're like the bridge towards employment, because
Mm.
most of the PWD that we have here in the Philippines, they are really shy to
Mm.
apply for a job. because they're not really sure if this company is open to hiring a PWD. Will this company be understanding of what their situation is? So with that advocacy, or uh, with that idea that they are supporting the PWD, I really got interested in it, because when I was in high school, I would always volunteer at my Saturdays to a PWD orphanage. And from there, it just so happened that whenever I would volunteer, I always get to be sent to a PWD orphanage. And then, yeah, so from there, I saw that they are very nice, they're very loving, happy. And since, because there's a lot of advocacies or movements now for different groups, there's not much people advocating inclusivity, including the people who are differently able. So that that's how I learned, and that's how I became passionate about supporting Hand in Heart. So 2 years ago, I just did little support, like every time I get a salary, I send my donation per month, ganun. And then it became broad to a point that they would invite me to host some of their events, and then join some of their events. And then there, they asked me if I would be open to becoming their ambassador. And I felt that what would be the best way to support an organization like that, but to spread more awareness about the PWD. So there, that's how I started with Hand in Heart.
I think that's really a great cause. I haven't personally worked with a PWD directly, but I have seen some of them work in their office before. And I remember I would be very inspired, because I would often think that, they are these people who might be differently abled, but they're still working. So how much more the people like us who pretty much like have almost everything. So it's really inspiring to see them working in the same environment as ours as well. And I also think it's a nice conversation to have, because I've also had readers reach out to me before and ask me if, like, because the beginning of my channel, I talked a lot about BPO industry. So kind of asked me if they can like work in that industry or other industries when they have a disability, or they feel like there's something wrong with them. So it might be a difficult conversation to start with, but I think it's worth it to really talk about it. And yeah, in relation to that as well, I've seen a lot of these like videos in TikTok or Instagram. Some people will say like, other people don't believe me when I say I have a disability, because they think that I'm fine just because I look fine. So what do you think about that? And is there a resource, for example, at least here in the Philippines, wherein we can learn more about it? And, for us not to downplay the disability of a person just because he or she looks fine or looks like us, physically at least.
Yeah. Well, there are different types of PWD organizations that support different types of PWDs, because it's very broad, diba? Because there are physical PWDs, there are mental, intellectual, and there are yung sensory impaired disability. So it's actually broad community, or broad type of people. So most organizations support specific types.
Okay.
Because because like what I said, it's very broad. So they have different needs, and then they have different ways of how to cope with those different needs that they have. That's why it's better if they look for an organization that specializes on one specific need.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really important, I think, especially when like other people who might not be knowledgeable about a certain disability and might be insensitive about the needs of others. So I think it's really important that we look for those communities and organizations for us to really understand, especially when we're working with PWDs. And And on that note also, like for companies, for example, how do you think can companies and employers be more inclusive in hiring? And I guess a follow-up question would be, what are the most common practices that are considered discriminatory, that we should watch out for so that we can raise that,
Yeah.
red flag and really report it if there's anything that's happening like that?
Well, one,
Mm.
based on the experience with Hand and Heart, mostly it's the terms that they use. They should be
Mm.
aware of the terms that they use. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to Hand and Heart, because we support a specific type of PWD, which are deaf. So actually, most of them are deaf. They're not mute. They
Okay.
have voice. They just
Mm.
can't hear. So yun. And then calling them pipe, that
Mm.
the types that we do here in the Philippines when people were, you know, when we were young, what we would
Yeah.
tease somebody, ganyan. So teasing is not really will not really help them,
Mm.
or laughing at them, making fun of them, because I would see videos of um PWDs making being like a joke
Mm.
for a
Yeah.
video, right? Which is not really a good representation for people who are actually suffering from their disability.
Mm.
Because of course, like us normal people, we actually we experience suffering also, right? Like
True.
we get we sometimes feel that we are being discriminated or judged at. But imagine that to someone who is already disabled, right? So if us normal people would be hurt or uh get parang feel suffering towards the discrimination of others, what
Mm.
more for people who are disabled? So maybe one, be mindful of what you say,
Mm.
and then make sure that you are not using derogatory words
Yeah.
to
Very
or
important.
terms that, yeah, when you talk to them, like be aware of calling them names
Mm.
like pipe, bingi, or what else? Bulag,
Mm.
diba? Or yeah, so be mindful of the words that you use towards them. And of course, sometimes this is the funny thing that um, when we are being highly aware of what they are, sometimes
Mm.
we are so shy to ask them about their disability,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Actually, they are open to telling you their story. They're open to explaining to you what
Mm.
is the best way to interact with them, what kind of help they would need.
Mm.
Sometimes we are actually wary if we should ask that, right?
True. That's
Like,
true.
hmm, actually, they are open to telling you more about themselves. So
That's
don't
actually
be
good to
shy
know.
to,
Mhm.
yeah, it is. Like I used to have a designer
Mm.
back in my previous company who is blind on the other eye.
Mm.
So I was curious, like so I asked him how can you design something, like he would say something like, well, mom, I can see in the other eye, so that's good. And then one question was, how about 3D cinemas?
Mm.
Then he would explain that he couldn't see 3D cinemas. So, but he didn't feel like it was a joke. He didn't feel like it was something to discriminate him with. It's more like he was happy to explain what
Mm.
type of disability he has. And
Mhm.
he is happy to explain and tell me what type of support he would need from people around him.
Mhm.
So they are the best ones actually to tell you what kind of support they would need.
Yeah, and I think that's a good learning point there because you're right. Sometimes we just avoid the conversation altogether
Mm.
because maybe, we don't want to, we think that they might get hurt if we ask them about their disability or things like that, or we just completely avoid the conversation because it might be awkward for us, not knowing that the best way for us to understand them is really for us to communicate with them openly and politely. So
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And I think it's better to talk about it openly rather than like talking behind their back or talking with your
Yeah.
friends that si ano ganyan ganyan. So diba? So it's better to just talk to them right away and understand them rather than talk to other people who might not know them. So
Yeah.
for ano naman, for mga employers or other companies, what do you think are the benefits of hiring PWDs in the company?
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of benefits. One, the number
Mm.
one benefit is loyalty,
Mm.
because these people are very hesitant to actually job. Parang they don't feel confident enough to look for a job
Mm.
outside the company, and they feel very happy and in parang may utang na loob to the
Mm.
companies that hires them. So if you are looking for a loyal employee, PWDs are very loyal. Um, Next, for the deaf PWD, the deaf are very highly parang they have really good attention to detail,
Mm.
and because maybe they have one sense that is impaired.
Yeah.
So when they do something, they see a lot of things that us normal people doesn't, because
Yeah.
they
Makes
communicate
sense.
visually, right?
Right.
Not through sound. So they have really good um uh what did I say? They have really good attention to detail.
Mm.
And then next is they are really focused. For the deaf naman, they are really focused. Because like what I said, one of their senses are impaired. So when they do something, they just focus on it. It's like
Mm.
parang the horse that has
Yeah.
these things in their eyes.
Parang tunnel vision
So
na talaga.
yeah, tunnel vision. So they are really focused. So they are really good with work that are like designing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Designing, like they're good with accounting. They're good with physical labor also, because they really focus on doing something. One benefit that an employer could get also if they hire a PWD is I think they get discounts from the taxes. So
Oh,
there's a
okay.
Magna Carta that
Mhm.
says at least 1% of your employees should be a PWD. So they get parang discounts to taxes. I'm not really 100% sure how much, but I think they really do that. So
We'll
yun.
include a resource on that once we publish this video.
Mm-mm.
That's good. That's really nice to know what employers can benefit from PWDs. And I think that just by hiring the community, they're also helping generate more jobs for them, right? Like with Hand and Heart, diba? They're like the
Yeah.
bridge for employment. So parang they'd reach out to Hand and Heart will help them get jobs that are appropriate for them or connect them to employers for hiring. Tama ba?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's what Hand and Heart do. And
Mm.
also Hand and Heart does the help they also help the company,
Mm.
because one we help them with interviewing the
Oh,
PWD
okay. That's
applicants.
nice. Mhm.
Mm-mm. We also help the company onboard the employee, and we help them with the 6 months evaluation, and if
Mm.
there are assessments that they would like to communicate to the employee, we also handle that. One of the we equip them with working with the PWD. So we also give awareness workshops on how best to communicate with a PWD, what can they do within their company to increase inclusivity, so things like that.
Nice. Nice that you mentioned that. I did see on the website as well because I checked it out before that you had the workshops before for companies and employers. I think that's really important. So it's nice that they're working. It's like a two-way street. Not only the PWD seeking for a job, and Canon Hearts also helping with the employers and with the company side. So later on, Prin will get to invite you to check out the website, see how you can help, or if you're a member of the PWD community. I'm going to add subtitles on this video as well, and all the resources will be linked in the description. Now let's move to your new venture, because it's very timely, because in this channel, I've kind of not naman rebrand, but I've expanded to topics around, let's say, adulting, entrepreneurship, and the career in general. So I know right now that you have your new venture, which I've tried the products, which I'm really loving as well. Actually have that here, which I'm gonna know you later. Before we talk about that, tell us the story about how you went from working in a company, an employee, to the business that you're running now, or how you founded it.
Yeah. So the story behind it, so I've been working as an employee for quite some time, and sometimes you would come to a point where you realize, like, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
Diba? So parang what next thing that I wanted to do, I asked myself, what did I want to do next? I want to continue working on the things that I am passionate about. And actually, Hand and Heart was the one who opened my eyes to start to be an entrepreneur, because it was the time when I was thinking what I want to do next with my life. And then Hand and Heart, I was working with them as a volunteer, right? Volunteer, advocate, ambassador. So parang I'm not getting paid there. But with everything that I'm doing there, I'm always happy to do it.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe if I find something that I am passionate about, that I love doing, and then that's what I will start working on. So first, I identified what do I love doing.
Yeah.
So I love marketing. I love branding. I love creating brands. I also, and on the personal side naman, what do I love to do? I love taking care of myself. I love learning more about self-love. I love the concept of giving time to yourself as a self-care, like a self-care time, diba?
Yeah.
Because we can't be always working. We can't always be pushing towards that goal, right?
Yeah.
We need that time with ourselves. And I think that is one of the things that was forced upon us during this lockdown.
Right.
We were actually given the time to be with ourselves, to get to know ourselves more without our friends, without the outside world.
Right.
So that's how I decided, or that's how Numi came about. Because during the lockdown, I learned that, okay, I really do need to take care of myself. I love the feeling that when I am taking care of my skin, taking care of my hair, having that time to take a bath and just chill and just, it gave me more energy to do my work than throughout the day. And it made me feel good. So I wanted to give that to others. Parang I wanted to spread that awareness, and I wanted to give them a tool to start with their self-love routine, diba? So that's how I created Numi. That's how I came about with Numi. And the fact that I wanted to have a different another shift in my life where I am not just going to be an employee. I will be someone who will make the decisions myself and
True.
experience the failures
Yeah.
that goes along with it. So yeah, so
Tama.
that's why I shifted.
Right. And I like that you really highlighted the fact that it was born out of your love of skincare, self-care, and it's not just like it's because it's trending nowadays or something like that.
No.
I mean, of course, to each his own, but like this pandemic, you really get to realize what you really want to do. Like even in my case, I also am thinking of what's the next thing to do, and it has to be based on
Mm,
what you really want to do yourself and what you love doing. Because if it's not, then it's just gonna be another like job for you that you dread doing,
yes.
right? So that's good that you really looked at what you love doing, and you even have the I know sunscreen here. Beauty vlogger, ganun. But there are people who ask me for my skincare routine. Hindi ko alam bakit, but I have the sunscreen here kasi the window is here sa home office. So that I don't forget, even if I don't go out, I apply it on my face kahit nasa bahay lang ako. Kasi nga yung sun, pag ganun. So, what's your favorite product naman sa Numi and why?
I got well, my ultimate favorite product is the serum. Like this is
I
the
like it too.
serum.
I
Yeah.
love it too. Yeah.
Yeah. What I love about it is one, it doesn't react on my skin kasi
Mm.
I'm very sensitive. I have a very sensitive skin. So whenever I would use a product, it would flare up and then I would just get to use it once or twice and then that's it. So one thing about Numi is that we don't use chemicals with our
Mm-hmm.
ingredients. We all use natural and vegan ingredients. And with the serum, what I love about it is when I use it at night, the next day, next morning, my skin feels soft right away. So
Mm-hmm.
parang I get the benefits right away. So that's one of my favorite. Actually, that's my ultimate favorite.
Yeah,
So I
I
get
can
to tell
attest
the
to that.
rest.
I can attest. I like the serum also because I have been. I'm not that. I hate the overpriced thingy. It's up to you what type of skincare product you want to buy. But I'm personally looking for parang balance yung quality niya and the price. So I've been looking for serum that's not too heavy on the budget because a lot of serums are like 1K above. So what's the difference
Yes.
ba? I was thinking, what's the difference? So I did find one na around that same price range with me. And then when you mentioned once that you're gonna come up with a line, so I checked the serum and I was so happy that it's within my budget. And it's really, I can attest to that. The one that you mentioned that when you wake up the next morning, it really feels soft to your face. I'm not even
Yeah,
kidding.
di
And
ba?
when I look and I look some mirror, it's like it's different. Parang even if you did not get enough sleep, you look a bit parang glowing yung face ko. So I use that. I have it in my bedroom. And are you planning to release new products soon, or
Oh,
you're
well,
focusing
right.
on what you have right now?
We're focusing on what we have, but of course, we are listening to our customers, what they
Mm.
wanted next. So one of the things that we've heard is one, they wanted an eye cream,
Oh,
and the other one, they wanted a facial scrub that they can use
okay.
once a week.
Mm.
So, yeah, we are looking into studying that. Syempre, marketing tayo eh. We
Yeah,
want to
I
be able,
know.
we want to know what 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 other products they are looking for and what they are
Yeah.
requesting about. And then we also want to be the type of brand that listens to its customers. That's why,
Mhm.
yun, we are checking those two out, those two products.
Yay! I'm gonna look forward to that, of course, because I'm really like on the lookout for good skincare. Because we're not getting any younger, so we have to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
And our viewers are also all working people, so please don't forget to take care of yourself and of your skin. Sometimes you forget it, even if you're just at home. Diba? Usually when we
Mm.
go out lang, that's when we that's when we put things in our face or in our body. But you really have to think about self-care and skincare even when you're just working from home. Especially now that
Yes.
even though you're not doing anything, it feels like stress can come easy because of the pandemic. So there you go. Everything will be linked in the description if you want to know more about me, PH, and all the products that we can check out in the description box in the YouTube video. And so to wrap up the episode, what is your message to everyone naman who's struggling to look for jobs or establish their career, especially right now that we are still in a pandemic, or maybe we're easing up a bit, but the pandemic is still there, right?
Yeah. Well, one, I would like to say be patient, because sometimes we are very focused on the fact that we don't have the job, or we don't have a job, and we get very frustrated, and we wanted to look for something else right away. So because when you do that, when you become impatient, then you start to feel really down, and then sometimes it reflects to the work that you create.
Yeah.
So number one, be patient, and then number two, while you're looking for the job, expand on the skill set that you would like to expand on, and focus on the skill set that you are happy to do,
Yeah.
diba? Kasi sometimes there are things that you just need that for a job, but you don't like to do it. It
Yeah.
would be better if you can be better on the things that you like doing, diba? What that
True.
you love doing.
True.
And lastly, um, don't compare yourself to others when, like, di ba, there are times that si ganito may trabaho na, si ganito may
Right.
wala pa, or
Mm-mm.
ako, san kaya ako, di ba? Parang
Mm-mm.
focus on what you can control now. So what can you control now? Like, you can control looking up, sending resumes every day, di ba? The number of
True.
resumes that you can send every day, the number of classes that you can attend online. There's a lot of free classes that you can attend to online. And the number, the things that you can control on your own, focus
Mm-hmm.
on that. And then, syempre, kasi it will add up to your sadness or to
Mm-hmm.
your disappointment if you compare yourself to others. Eh. So
Totoo.
yun, so those who are struggling, continue doing what you can control, which is looking for a job, diba?
Yeah. That's perfect advice to wrap up the conversation, Fred. Thank you so much. And I think our viewers can also get so much lessons from your experience, like really honing on your skills and doing what you're passionate about and what you love. And not just because you're passionate about it, but it's really that you really want to work on it. Because passion alone won't be able to help you, right? You have to take
Mm,
action, take steps
yes.
to really do what you want to do. So there. Thank you so much, friend, for your time. But before we officially end, invite them. Where can they find more information about Hand and Heart and Numi? So go ahead, take it.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Rhea, for giving me this time to promote the things that I am doing.
For
So
sure.
for Hand and Heart, just go to the handandheartph.com
Mm.
website. So that's their website, handandheartph.com, and also their Facebook and Instagram. For the PWDs who would like to apply or who are looking for a job, they can message us there, or they can email us using the website and send us
Perfect.
their resume. For the companies who would like to expand on their company's culture with inclusivity, Hand and Heart offers workshops for everyone in your company.
Mm.
And for Numi naman, just visit our website, numi.ph, or search us in Shopee and Lazada,
Yeah.
numi.ph. Yeah.
Yay. I got it. I got mine from Shopee because I always use Shopee. Anyways, yeah, thank you again so much, Prin, for your time. Any questions you have for Prin, I will let her know. Just comment them and like, subscribe, and I'll see you in our next episode. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this podcast episode. Follow me on social media by checking out the links in the description box. See you in the next one.